Hey everybody, how you doing? My friends call me Dave and you can call me Davey Pooh. Welcome to the Mobile Music Minstrel and welcome to Tiny Lion's Big World. So today I want to talk to you about taking the kids to Rome. Back in May of 2017, my wife and I flew our three, well at the time, let's see, he was 6, our son was 6, and our daughter was 2, about to turn 3, about a month too shy of the age of 3. We flew them both to Rome, and we stayed in Rome for 2 weeks. And it was amazing. It was totally amazing. It was totally incredible, and it was an enormous pain in the butt. But it wasn't so much of a pain in the butt that wasn't worth doing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and just let you know what our experience was like. So, as I said in the intro video, we've been wanting to move overseas for about three and a half years now, and for the last 18 months or so, we've been working on reclaiming my Italian citizenship through a process called Giure Sanguinis. Apologize to any of those who were offended by my mispronunciation, because I'm sure I'm butchering it. But we've been working on becoming Italian citizens through my ancestry. And it's a long, complicated process, and you can find out about it elsewhere, and we can have a whole nother video about that. But this past spring, we decided to take the kids to Rome. We had been looking at Rome as a place to potentially move to when the citizenship thing goes through, and we wanted to have a combination vacation, recon mission, check it out, do we want to live there, kind of a trip. Potentially get some documentation also for this citizenship process. So we decided that we wanted to go after Easter. Since we were going to be in Rome, we didn't want to be around the Vatican after Easter. So we left the Wednesday after Easter in April. I think it was April 19th. And we were there for 2 weeks. We came back on May 3rd or thereabouts. And so let's see. So we got up early in the morning. First day, we had a friend drive us to the airport early in the morning. We flew out of Oakland, and we flew from Oakland to Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia to Rome. Now, the first thing everybody said is, how was the flight? Was it crazy? She was 2, he was 6. My wife and I decided to take the attitude that it's only as big a deal as you make it. So, were the kids difficult sometimes? Absolutely. But ultimately, were they more difficult than they would have been normally had we just stayed home? And I think the answer to that is no. We don't have as much of a problem handling that sort of thing being out in public as some folks do. So some folks are gonna, mileage may vary kind of thing, as to how good you feel your kids are on a journey like that. But basically, it wasn't as big a deal unless we made it a big deal. Did they not nap? Sure, they didn't nap. Was it a long day? Of course it was a long day. Yeah, but was the flight unpleasant? Not really. It was fine. It was a flight. My opinion again, I always think that spending 24 hours being uncomfortable so that I can spend the next 2 weeks in an amazing place on the other side of the earth, that's a very, very, very small price to pay. So it didn't bother me all that much. My littlest, she was a little restless. We had to constantly keep her busy. My wife ended up sitting with her most of the time. We switched towards the end. But, it was a long day. For sure, it was tiring when we got there. I was wiped. But we made it work. And it was not that big a deal for the payoff. So we got there. It was incredible. It took a little bit of adjusting, the first, say, 12 hours or so. We had a plan. We got there sort of midday, and we had to get to our Airbnb, and we had to check in, and then we had made the decision, let's get checked in at the Airbnb, let's go to the market right away, we'll get some food from around the house, and then we'll go back, we'll take a nap. We'll get up at dinner time, we'll do the regular dinner time thing all the way out through the night. And that worked fine until the kids woke up in the middle of the night hungry. And I had to feed them at 5 in the morning, the morning after we arrived, and that threw everything off. But I think we'll do a little better next time, Again, it was only as big a deal as we made it. So, we spent a lot of the time, most of the time we spent in Rome proper. We didn't really do any day trips. We did one to Florence, because we wanted to do something outside of Rome, and then that was heading north, and we did another day trip south to the town that my family is from, which is called Sessa-Aronca, and it's just north of Naples. And so we went down there for a day. Otherwise, we stayed wholly in Rome, and it was totally worth it. We didn't get pickpocketed, we didn't get bothered. We had done our research ahead of time, and we were smart. I had brought a money belt, but honestly, I had a jacket with head inside pockets, and I was fine the whole time. But what was amazing was to watch not only the effect it had on us, but the effect it had on the kids. First of all, kids are bulletproof, man. It's amazing how they have no clue sometimes, and how just nothing bothers them. Here's a quick story. So we went on a day trip to Sessa-Aronca, right? Okay, it's just not very small. Well, okay, let me back up. It's not a very big town. It's not really in the middle of anywhere. There's not really anything around it. It's not really well known. It's an old medieval hill town like there are everywhere throughout Italy, but it's not particularly special in any way. It's not particularly quaint. It's not particularly glorious. It's just sort of a town. And so we got off the train. We found that there was a train station called Sessa-Aronca, so clearly that must go to Sessa-Aronca. So we took the train there. We got off the train, and we walked out, and we were kind of at a crossroads in the middle of nowhere. There was no bus stop. There were no taxis. There was no nothing. And, my wife started to get a little upset with me, and we were starting to panic a little bit, like, all right, what do we do? Like, well, do we just wait for the next train heading back to Rome and get back on the next train? Like, do we wait for a bus? What do we do? We asked people, and people said that there was a bus coming, but it was confusing because there was no bus signs, and we're totally panicking. And we look over, and the kids are, like, watching the ants running on the rocks by the front of the train station, and they just had no clue that we were upset at all. And it forced us to, like, okay, right, let's check in. Is there really anything wrong? No, there isn't anything wrong. How far is the town? Well, it's 3 kilometers. Well, let's call a cab. Let's whatever. And eventually the bus came. The bus took us to Sessa-Aronca. We had a totally wonderful adventure in Sessa-Aronca. And again, we got to the bus stop to get back to the train station, and we waited and we waited and we waited, and 45 minutes later there was no bus. So we went to the bar where they serve coffee across the street, and we asked some people, and we ended up asking the local poliziotta there to when the train was coming, or when the bus was coming, excuse me. And it ends up that the poliziotti had to bring us to the train station. We all climbed into 2 different police cars, and they took us right back to the train station because there was no more bus that day. At 4:45 in the afternoon, there was no more bus. But this is what it's like when you're doing things either by yourself or with kids. You're winging it. You're making it up. I mean, that's kind of what parenting is anyway, right? You're just making it up. I mean, my wife and I joke all the time that one day my kids are going to realize I have no idea what I'm doing, and then it's all over. But until then, whee! Right? Well, it's what it is when you're traveling, too. We'd never been to Rome. Heck, we'd never been outside the country as a family. We ended up getting all of our passports. We got on the plane. We flew all the way there. I had spent about a year prior to that learning Italian. Obviously, this Italian citizenship thing, I feel obligated to learn Italian because I'm taking it very seriously. And so, I had a little bit of Italian, but certainly not enough to converse with anybody intelligently. And we made it work. And it was wonderful. And it was magical. And when we talked to people, people were helpful. And people were kind and gracious and understanding, and of course we have 2 of the most beautiful kids on the planet. I mean, my wife and I hit the genetic jackpot somehow, and our kids just charmed everybody, and everybody loved the kids, and we just, no matter where we went, it was fine. We trusted people, we trusted ourselves. Now, just quickly to back up, was it hard with the kids? Yes and no. It was no more hard than it would have been had we just stayed home in the first place. And that's the truth. We all did get worn out of vacation mode. I don't think we could have sustained the go here, go there, go here, even though we had dialed it back considerably. We couldn't have sustained that. But, you know, we had a couple of do-nothing days, and we made sure that the kids felt like they were involved. And ultimately, they still remember it. You know, everybody said that our 2-year-old wouldn't remember anything and that the kids wouldn't remember anything, but she sees pictures of the Colosseum and she knows what it is. She sees pictures of, you know, the classic statue of the she-wolf and Romulus and Remus suckling from the she-wolf, and she knows, hey, that's Romulus and Remus and the she-wolf. She remembers the gelato. She remembers the Vatican. Okay, she remembers all sorts of stuff. And it was totally worth doing, if for no other reason than to learn about traveling with the kids and realize that once you cross that threshold, it's really not a big deal. You just figure it out. So we're at about 11 minutes now, so thanks for letting me blabber. I really appreciate it. I hope this was insightful in some way. I know it's I'm still getting my feet under me as far as the vlog goes, so you know, thanks for letting me blather. You know, once again, check out tinylinesbigworld.com. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, do all your crazy YouTube stuff. Pretty soon I'll have a Facebook presence and we'll have all that too, and you can follow us on all the cool social media platforms and whee! And anyway, I'm Davey Pooh. I'm the Mobile Music Minstrel. Thanks again for checking in. We'll have more content for you soon. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.